We are live.
Well, I'll let you do the intro there, Dustin.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday night, and we are about to talk here with Sean Hardham and then some of the other Spec-D gang here if they show up about rounds 2 and 3 that are going to be happening in Mission here, not this weekend, but next weekend coming up across the 11th, 12th, and 13th. Lots of stuff on the layouts are going to be discussed tonight. We're going to reveal some of the track maps. I've had the privilege of jumping behind the virtual driver's seat, if you want to call it that, and record some clips for some of you guys. We're going to showcase just to kind of give you a perspective of how the layouts will be for you, how the judges are going to be kind of judging criteria, and Assetto from the last couple of years of evolution marked up pretty good of our front layout that we've been using and the new layout that was going to make a return here for I guess it's round 3. I guess it would be on Saturday. So I'll let Sean take over here and I'll start trying to bring up some visual cues to help us out.
Excellent. Well, I think we could start off with throw up the weekend schedule maybe for the participants so they got an idea. Those that are watching it, they can watch it on their phone. They can always screen grab that. It's also in all of our driver chats. This will also get emailed out once we, probably by the weekend. Then we'll have all the drivers that are going to be coming out all sort of verified and have an accurate total for drivers. Right now, we're sitting at about 22 registered drivers, so looking really good. A couple of new drivers that have going to be coming up and to be the first time running with us, so we're really excited to see them. I think we're at 5 or 6 drivers coming in out of the Evergreen area, so been really happy with the support from them, and their driving is always exciting. Builds are top notch, so we're really looking forward to that. Let's just jump right in and we'll talk a little bit about the Friday layout. While we got the sounds of cars ripping in the background, let's bring up the Friday layout. Maybe we'll just do the track map and we'll discuss that as the zones that show up, and then we'll do the actual Assetto runs. So yeah, lots of colors on it, but basically this is a little bit of a variation of the layout that we ran 2 years ago. Since Mission has paved that keyhole at the top end of the track, we thought that we would incorporate that. So as you can see on the track map, you'll see like the green area, then a dark blue area, and then the purple area. So how we're going to be judging this year is going to be a little bit different, and how we're going to just continue on for both rounds 2 and 3. That we have 3 sectors of the track. So sector 1, sector 2, sector 3. So each judge has 10 points to give in each one of those sectors. So for line, the green zone, sector 1, the dark blue, sector 2, and then the purple will be sector 3. 10 points available in each one of those. Then how we're doing the remaining 10 points is going to be basically an X factor. So each judge will judge the qualifying run out of 10, and the average of those scores will determine the X factor score on it. So it's not just the style judge that has the additional 10 points. It's going to be an average of all 3 judges doing it. So if you look at it, you can see the line there. Basically, it is the same layout that we did with the addition of it. I think we'll get Dustin to play video that they've been practicing in Assetto, and you can kind of see how that looks, and we can talk a little bit about some of the challenges and some of the benefits of having this the extra length of the track.
So just start off with the top-down view here, just to make it simple. I know I was told a little bit earlier before we started the stream, there is a concern about a possible divot in the pavement here that we're going to have to address on Thursday. If there is, we'll make some changes, no doubts, but just know your track maps are going to be a little bit inaccurate at that time. Other than that, just from playing it on Assetto and driving it with some of the guys who actually drive in sims, it's a lot of fun. And I think it'll be a great return here to everybody to watch. I'm excited for this layout again because it was the first one I came out to watch with Spec-D. So I haven't seen it in a couple of years. It's going to be fun.
Right. So people asked a little bit about why the change going into it. Why don't we just bring back the old layout that we ran, 2 years ago? And just really the answer to that is that in the old layout, there is only one transition that you make. So, as a driver, I like tracks that are a little bit longer, and I like, the multiple transitions. When you add a little bit of the decel going to the keyhole, it's going to allow for a little bit better tandem, allow like the chase guy to get up on the door again, give the opportunity for them to gain some proximity if they've lost it in the drag race, going through this big, huge initial outer zone.
And I think it's going to be interesting to watch this keyhole here too, just with the transitions. There is a big
Mm.
variation in speed, so it's going to be interesting to watch and see how drivers tackle that.
So I think it should be pretty decent. I don't know, do you have any questions that sort of come up on the chat there, Dustin, or is everybody just sort of digesting it and seeing what it is?
I think we're just getting a whole bunch of creepers tonight. No questions yet. I will break the topic conversation though, and just let you know if anybody does chime up.
For sure. Maybe we'll do after this run, we'll do a top-down view, and we'll maybe just record the sound a little bit, and we can talk about some of the zones and some of the break down the track map a little bit better for the drivers so they can prepare for it as they play it on Assetto and sort of get prepped for the next weekend.
Sure thing. There we go. We should be a lot quieter there now.
All right. Yeah. So if drivers can just sort of watch that as they go. Basically, we have the big initiation coming in off of the drag strip. So we're going to set the start line up so that most of the drivers will be in third gear going into this layout. Some are only in second, just depending on the gearing. I know in my car, I'm usually only in second just because I have really tall gears in it. So for that, we just run second. But I mean, just so that drivers are comfortably in the gear that they're going to be drifting the big corner in. So we're going to set that up on Thursday so that everyone's in the gear they want. We don't want people basically getting into initiation just after they, have shifted into third gear and, they're off power. I think in years past, we kept moving the start line back. And as we moved it back further, it just made for a better first big bank there. So when you come in, you got the big first outer zone. And basically, it just goes in one huge outer zone right along the outside of those red and white, or sorry, the blue and white barriers there. The big outer zone starts basically there, right in front of the judge's view. And then the transition is really nice to see through that. And basically all that you have is going to be a couple of touch and goes after this inside clip. We're not really running a big outer zone except for right in there, and then we just get a touch and go towards the end, right over the finish line, and carry a nice drift over the finish line. That's basically the reason that we're looking to run the course longer, is just to make it a little bit more challenging for drivers. I mean, a lot of people travel a long distance for this, so we want to give it something more than one transition through it. And I think this adds a nice challenge to it for sure. I don't know can you show just sort of where the judges tower is going to be? I think we have a view from that as well, so you guys can kind of see where we're looking at it.
I don't think I had one prepped up just 100%, but we can sort of cheat here a little
Okay.
bit.
Right. Yeah, I think Dustin asked me which views I wanted to see, and I didn't say do one from the judges tower. We're going to be judging basically from on top of the hill where we did in years past, kind of right up by the building there. So
Just make sure I got some cars
Yeah,
sliding
watch.
around here.
Right.
So yeah, this is pretty much the same place. I know it's not pixel perfect, but gets the point across. So let's speed things up here a little bit.
Right. Mhm.
See where these cars went.
Yeah, so from in this section here, you can really see we're placing the zones basically along the two walls that are there, so that you have to hit those zones. So we're not really going to be, because obviously when the rear of the car is facing away from the judge's eye, it's really tough to tell the distance that they have on the outside edge of that keyhole. So how we're going to do it is basically just right along the two walls where you do the transition and flick it up against the wall. It's going to be a well painted zone, and as well, sort of by the little Marshall station that you see the drivers drive past again on that keyhole. The reason for that is just, simply we can't judge what we can't see. We do have a drone in the air, but I think it's just better for Speed Joe to set it up so that, if you hit those two zones, you obviously filled the rear section as well. And there's not a lot of real estate back that you can really mess up on. Either you're on it or you're not. There's not much room for error. If you go too deep, you're going to straighten out, and if you're too shallow, there's lots of tires and stuff like that in there, and hit the dirt in that section as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's where the spotters are also going to be up there as well. There's going to be a little bit of a lighter side of it. Obviously people generally work right till the end of the day, so we have a lot of the shows sort of scheduled for right after 5 o'clock, and it's going to go right until 8. And the reason that we're doing this on Friday, this layout, and not doing this new, I would class as maybe the more exciting layout, is that Saturday night, right in the middle of that, is where they're going to be doing a concert. So sort of exciting to finish off our big drift event on Saturday and then go right into a concert. So that whole area that going to be absolutely shredding on Friday will then be set up on Saturday during the day with a stage and have the concert area going on. Again, anybody who's watching this, and if you have questions on it, you can leave a comment in the comments, and we'll answer it as best we can. So let's maybe jump into the Saturday layout. If we can just give the track overview.
Give you this.
There we go. So this is really it's the same layout that we ran last year. It was a really exciting layout, one to drive and to watch, and also to judge. Drivers really did well, especially in the long, narrow straight of the track to finish off the run right in front of the crowd. It was really good. Again, here you see that we have it set up into the three zones, Sector 1, Sectors 2, and Sector 3. So again, the green, blue, and the pink. And we're doing the exact same thing that we're doing on the Friday as well. So each sector is worth 10 points to each one of the judge, with the average of the X factor, sort of just, what the X factor is, just wow factor that you put into your run. If it's going to be the style, it's going to be big flicks to angle, snappy transitions, and just really aggressive driving is probably the best way to describe it. So that's going to be an average. Each judge has 10 points to give for that, and the average of those three scores make up the X factor point on it. So I think that's the fairest way to do it, and also just simplifies it. We're sort of getting lost in the weeds trying to gauge points for a touch and go. It's worth 5 points, and then this one's worth 10. The inside clip is worth 5, and it just sort of got where it's taking a long time to try to judge it, and a long time of us just spending time watching the drone and trying to evaluate what's the difference between a 3 out of 5 in a touch and go and a 4 out of 5 in a touch and go. So just taking the sectors 1, 2, and 3 and breaking them down to 10 points through it. So like if you look at this one, for example, on the green, you have the initiation and one touch and go. That's it. That's going to grab you there's 10 points to be had in that. Then on the dark blue, you also have, touch and go in there, drive through the front clip, and then you're also getting set up for your first outer zone that's right on the edge of those rumble strips there. So there's 10 points to be had in that because that is a crucial part of the track that is essential to get right in order to finish off, your third sector, which is also worth 10 points. It's how everything in the track basically builds upon one another. If you don't get your initiation right, you're not going to hit your touch and go 2 correctly. If you miss your touch and go 2, then you miss your inside clip and then also the beginning of your outer zone 1. So that's the way that the judges also feel it's going to just be easier. Judging change as well. Hey, John Bernstad was supposed to be driving with us this year. Life came up, didn't quite get his car ready to go and compete. So John's going to be joining us for rounds 2 and 3, judging in Mission, and we got Alex Chavez and then myself going to be judging as well. So different judges from round 1, with the exception of me, but I think it's going to be exciting. Everyone's got lots of street cred between, the other 2 guys for sure. They know how to throw down and definitely drift. So it's going to be good to have them on the judging panel as well. And I think, let's play the video of the run and go through what we see the ideal one done.
Start with it here off top-down view here. I'll turn the volume back up for these.
Sure.
Maybe not as loud. I don't see any serious questions yet, but one myself that comes to mind is this wall going to be making a return at this layout?
Yes, I believe the wall was a really added benefit, actually. I think to how we were running the layout. We ran it in years past where we didn't have the wall, and the dirt draws were just were unbelievable on it. And I think once we added the wall to it, drivers, with the exception of us maybe having the wall too close to the last big outer zone. Once we moved that and sort of found the sweet spot for it, we didn't have any drivers, crash or anything like that. Obviously, we had gas go into it, but really early in practice. So, that's just some of the things that you learn just from actually running it a competition trim. That we want the drivers to be safe, but the wall actually made the driving a way better this last year in 2023 than in years previous. It was just awesome.
It's the same.
What was your thought on the wall? I mean,
I thought it was great to watch. I mean, minus the unfortunate incidents. I know as the drivers get more confident in their skill sets and their abilities, they're trying to push the limits as well, right? And sometimes we don't always get the results we want, but it's phenomenal to see them cruising through there, and then guys like Tristan last year, and I think Matt, mere inches from the wall. So it gives the fans a great show as well, and then it's another great visual marker for everybody judging as a visual setup of how the driver is entering into that corner.
Yeah, I actually thought that the wall at the finish line was going to be more of a challenge than was. I actually thought the addition of the wall along the straight wouldn't be as much of a challenge as when you're coming in full steam and finishing off at the end of the outer zone 2, just sort of to hit that wall along the end. But I don't know, it looked from a fan perspective and us watching it as, obviously fans of drifting, thought it was awesome to see. So we are planning to have the wall back. I think if you go a little bit on the overhead view again, we'll turn the volume down one more time and we'll just talk a little bit about some of the areas of contention that we had in 2023 and what we're going to do to address that and rectify some of the areas that we had challenged seeing in while we were judging, and how we're going to change that going into this year.
Sounds good. One chat question here from Critically Canadian. He's asking if the final outside zone is going to be on the outside edge of the track or a marked box in the center of the corner like previous years.
It'll be a marked box in on the track like in previous years. We found that the edge of the track actually it's not the ideal line through it. Like even though we're running it here in Assetto, we're going to have the marked box where it's probably in off of the edge of the track. About 2 feet is about how we had it off. It just gives drivers like nice section to place their car in. And as a driver, you can really see that box where you're setting it up. And once you find, with the help of your spotter, once you find that sweet spot of where visually you can see the, I guess the inside line of that box, it's easier to be able to set that up and then drive it perfect. Found if you drive on the edge of the track, that's where anybody who dropped tire there, and that's sort of the danger that comes when you run the edge of the track as the outside line. When they drop tire, they tend to either wash right out, and that adds a little bit of extra risk actually hitting that wall on the end. If you are driving at full throttle and your tires are at full grip on the track and you drop tire, you actually gain quite a bit of speed. So either you can start to over rotate and then you're just going for a ride into the wall, or you do gain speed and it doesn't set you up once you hit back onto all the tire marbles and stuff like that. We found that's probably the most dangerous way to do it. So we like to pull our outside zones in from the edge of the track, a couple of feet, and just make a box in there.
Cool. I've got no other
Again, when we get
questions
to
here.
all right. So then when the drivers go again here, I don't know if you can pause it right as they come out of the touch and go 2. So right before they sort of cross over the drag strip and aim for that inside clip, if you can just pause it there, we'll talk a little bit about the issues that we had in there last year. So right in that section there, what we found basically from the judge's tower where our perspective was, drivers, it's really tough to be able to tell the depth of be able to see where the lead car is, how deep they are off of that track. So what we're going to do this year is also do the same thing, and we're going to paint a line across that as it's going to be like an out of bounds, and we're going to line that with cones. Basically so the drivers don't run like a really deep line and whip back across the track. Choke up the chase driver if he's in there and you're like just basically backing it in off of touch and go 2, and you kind of just do like a backwards entry past that inside clip. Leaves the chase driver with no place to go except like center punching the inside clip, and then they're way out of shape to be able to transition and then follow you to outer zone 1 and then along the transition and into outer zone 2. So we're going to be shallowing that up a little bit and making it more of a defined track edge there, and I think that'll alleviate some of that. Obviously drivers they play in it. Okay, fair enough, and it'll make it easier to us to watch it and judge it live instead of just always relying directly on the replay, because things happen, drones run out of battery, and a run goes and the drone's not there filming it, something cuts out, and if we're always heavily relying on the drone for the overhead view, it makes it really tough to accurately judge that run. So we're going to add some more course markers, make it easier for us to do on that. Any questions that you have there, Dustin, on it?
Nothing here just yet. Nope. We're looking good.
Excellent. All right. So, we did have a change in venue because we are running fairly late on the Saturday, and we're basically wrapping up the series on Saturday night. Drivers are, give it all, and we have basically the championship celebration going on afterwards, and immediately after our event, they're going to be starting with um, the concert and having DJ and stuff like that, all set up at the venue. So we decided that instead of us trying to change and pack all of our stuff up, get out of there on Saturday night and head to a new venue that we hadn't been to before, really be taxing on the stuff that, already have spent 2 days in the sun. We're going to be running the Sunday Funday here at Mission. It's going to be a little bit lighter than it has been in years past, just basically because, we do a lot of drift and drag events, Rad Torque, which, we have coming up tomorrow out of Rad Torque, July 4th, drift and drag going on. One ticket gets it all. Good time.
I think you're cutting off.
But what we're doing here, since the drag racing is going on, they've given us the section of the track that we're going to be running on Saturday for competition. So we're going to be running that as our Sunday Fun Day. Basically, you can run it two ways. All the drivers go one way, we turn around, come back the other way. And we can run some different variations on it. And we're also going to be playing some drift games. We did one at one of our events, was like, the hard parking challenge where they come in, drift around, and have to stop in a box. A lot of fun with that. And it actually got really competitive between the drivers that were going it. Mikey G and Sean C were out there just killing it on that event and having a great time, and placing their cars in a perfect park. So we're going to be doing some fun things like that, and just sort of taking it maybe a step back from running 3 big layouts and absolutely just like obliterating the track. We're going to be just trying to focus a little bit more maybe on some of the skill side of it on the Sunday Fun Day. And hey, it's only $80 to drive that. I think, Dustin, you got it here queued up of how one of the layouts that we're going to be running.
Yeah, I think this is the primary back and forth mix here. So if there's a lot of cars out there at once, this is probably what's going to be going on to maximize seat time for everybody on Sunday. So best of both worlds for everybody. And yet the only thing to worry about is there's going to be, just at this bottom strip, this drag strip wall is going to be extended all the way out. So mind that, that's going to be the only difference, just because the drag strip might be hot there at different parts of the day on Sunday.
Correct. And I think that's it. We all start on one side. We run until all the drivers have went on their lap. And then we just turn around, line up again. And the same thing, we're going to be able to run, 3, 4, how many guys want to drive. And I mean, basically it was nice of Mission to get us sort of set up so that we had a section of the track that we can, have a good time, and also for the drivers that are competing, their ticket for the weekend includes the Sunday Fun Day. So maybe they didn't get quite enough seat time. Maybe they had mechanical or something like that. So this gives them another opportunity to get out there, drive with their friends, and also just drive with some of the, maybe the ProAm guys or cars that aren't right up to the tech to run in the Pro Series. So, I mean, Dustin, you can probably say some of our best tandems have been actually in some of the ProAm rounds. The one that we did, a couple of weeks back out at Stratotech was an absolute great event. Excellent driving, and some of the closest tandems that we've seen over and over and over on a section of the track that's fairly challenging even for the pro drivers. So
100%.
I'm looking forward to the Pro Bro Down that we run out at Mission. It's always a good time. I'll have my car out there trying to give ride-alongs and throwing down with some of the local drivers there. I really enjoy the camaraderie and the welcome that we get from a lot of the drivers that show up. So tickets are available on the website. We also are going to be just doing it so you can come and register day of and get in while space is available. So if you want to guarantee your spot for the Sunday, make sure you grab your ticket. I can't guarantee there's going to be spots available on the Sunday just to drive in and show up at the gate, because it is maybe a smaller section of the track. So we are limiting the amount of drivers that are going to be able to do it without us having, 3 full sections of the track to run.
Cool. Just
And
got one question here in chat, and this applies to some of the media folks that'll be coming out. So, media rules similar to last year for places to be and not to be at. I think that's something that we're going to cover first thing in the morning each day. I mean, it's going to be important if you're going to be out shooting that day that you attend one of these media meetings, especially if you've never been to this track before. Uh, 3 different layouts, one of them kind of being similar between Saturday and Sunday, but there is a lot of areas that are going to be hot spots and no goes for you guys at all. Valley Tech will be there doing a live stream production, I think, as well. So there's going to be a couple no-go zones for those guys as well. So we're not disrupting their stream. We'll talk all about that here
right.
at the media meetings because there's a couple details right now that even we are still missing.
Yeah, and I think that's easy enough to do. We always have the media meeting immediately after the first drivers meeting of the day. So then we can go over the track. We have the track maps detailed and laid out. We can really show the media where the no-go zones are. We want everyone to come out, obviously have a good time shooting, lots of content, but also just to be going home safe. That's number one thing that we're doing in motorsport, where cars are driving at speed, and you know, uh, rubber dust, and if they hit the dirt, it also shoots a lot of gravel your way. So we really try to keep the media in a safe spot. Other than that, I think basically that was it for what we wanted to chat about for tonight.
Cool.
Any other questions that you had there, Dustin? Or
Just one more
I
from
guess we could
Critically
say
Canadian, and that's all after that
sure.
for now. Will you be zeroing chase drivers that pass the lead car before the finish line this year?
I guess when you're looking at the driver, I'd say that we're not going to be zeroing the chase driver unless they're really exceeding, like if they're trying to do a pass of the lead car. Generally, what happens is if the chase car is actually exceeding the lead car, it's because they're way shallow on the inside of the track. So how they got to be passing the lead car is because they're cutting the track really tight. If you can bring up just the map of the, just even that, just pause it and we'll get you to move your cursor around there, Dustin, instead,
Sure.
and pause that video. All right. So they're asking about at the end of the run. So if you go right up to the top of the screen to the finish line and show your cursor up there. Right. So if you have a chase car that's actually able to pass the lead car, it's generally because lead car has been doing a good job filling the outer zone. And in the outer zone, if the chase car dives in and is running on the inside of the rumble strips and kind of like exceeding the lead car throughout it, then they're going to be, basically finishing off the run where their rear tire may be somewhere close to the lead car's front tire. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a pass. I think that's just a driver error. So already in that point, I don't think that's a zero. I think it's just a major deduction already on the chase driver. I don't see it as an illegal pass unless they actually do blow past you. I mean, realistically, the only place that they're allowed to pass is at an inside clip. We saw it last year where Chris Pollard had passed Jesse Foote, completely illegal pass. It was amazing to see. We were all standing up and cheering. It was exciting. But if you get a situation where the chase car is finishing off the run and it seems like they're passing the lead car, it's because they've already made a huge mistake in that second outer zone to get to that section, right? I don't know if that answers the question, but I'd say it's not definitely a zero because we don't really score the runs in that because they didn't come out of drift. It's not an illegal pass unless they're actually like exceeding, if they're finishing the entire run ahead of the lead driver. Well, I mean, they did something or the lead driver did something, so that happened, right? So if the lead car is doing a good, proper run and they're running their qualifying line through that zone, I think that they're going to be in good shape to have the advantage going into it.
I mean, that makes sense to me as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. I think probably the last question people will have is where are they going to find these layouts? Is it going to be up on our regular Seto server?
Yes, right now we are still running each of our, I'll say, home circuit tracks 24/7. Assetto Corsa is right now hosting Mission Raceway, Stratotech Park. I think we have one for Rad Torque 24/7 as well. And then there's a Funhouse one that just kind of floats about different community suggestions and car packs right now. So if any of you guys want to give it a shot, I think all the DLC content is free. Assetto Corsa is $7 on a good day if you don't have it already. And yeah, you can join in and see what all the fuss is going to be about here over the next 2 days.
Excellent. Yeah, so basically just watch all of our social media content that we got coming out. Instagram will be, showing all the drivers that are going to be registered and driving out there on the 12th and 13th of July. So definitely it's going to be one to watch. These are both exciting layouts, and if last year is any gauge of it, I think that we are in for epic weekend. Running the doubleheader, 2 layouts, 2 separate sets of qualifying is going to be exciting, interesting for the points chase, and a ton of work for my guy Dustin to help tabulate all those those points. So
Oh,
everything is
easy
available up
peasy.
on the website for points and where we are. And again, like all these layouts are available on the server. If you got any questions, obviously you can find us on Discord. You can ask Dustin directly on that. Pretty much all the Assetto stuff is right up on our Discord, which is, easy. And I don't even know. Do we need an invite to get into our Discord anymore?
No, it should be still open. I think there's a couple of places we can find it. I think one of them is a Spec-D bio. I know it's stuffed in my bio on Instagram as well, so it should make it easy for you to find if you're on mobile. But heads up, you're going to need to visit a lot of the content afterwards on a desktop to be able to play the game with us. So keep that in mind.
There you go. Excellent. Well, there's nothing else. I think we can leave it there. I'll get you to throw up just the graphic for the spectator schedule because it's a little bit different than the driver schedule. It's right there. And I think we'll leave that as we exit and we say, see you guys in Mission, July 12th and 13th. And if you're in the Edmonton area, out of Rad Torque on July 4th, we're going to be doing just a great combination event with Rad Torque Raceway, doing drifting and drag racing. Generally, it works out really good for the drift guys because not many drag racers want to go and try drifting. They like to go for ride-alongs, but gives our drift guys, a chance to go and drive against their buddies on the drag strip as well. So one ticket gets you in, you can do both, and it's a great weekend. Just a great time to have it out there on a Thursday night. Some of the best kept stuff that we got going on. I think it's only $55 to drive to do both, like for drag racing and for the drifting. So hope to see everybody out there. And hey, for sure, Mission Raceway, July 12th and 13th. Tickets are available on the Mission Raceway website. It's also in all of our social media content that we usually put the link up for the tickets for the Mission Raceway. So definitely, check them out. Support the track, support those tracks that support drifting. That's what I always say. So with that, I'll say good night. Later.
Adios, everybody.